everybody, welcome to Wissen, where we teach you how to shine with pride. In today's episode, we're going to show you how to perform a proper mechanical paint correction on your vehicle. First thing we want to do is we're going to go over the different tools you're going to need, and then we're going to show you the step-by-step of the paint correction process and how to get rid of all those little marks and dings and things that are on your vehicle. So let's start with the tools. So we have a couple things laid out here and just want to kind of talk about what they are and what they do. So the first tool we're going to talk about is the mechanical polisher. This head here actually spins circular motion, but it also oscillates in a circular motion as well. So you actually get two different polishing methods from one head. This is what's going to do all the work for you. We don't have to use pressure. We don't have to push down. We're going to let this machine really do all the work for us. Now what's nice with the dual action is that this actually has a setting. If you start pushing too hard, it will actually slow down the head speed and sometimes even completely shut it down. That way you're not burning through your paint, you're not damaging your paint, and it's going to just help you to get a cleaner job without as much fear. So the next accessory that we have for the polisher are the actual buffing pads. I have three different pads here. They all look identical, but they're all different colors. So the reason why they're different colors, we actually have three different grits. So this is a finishing pad, this is a mild buffing pad, and then this one is a tougher buffing pad. So this is going to cut a lot more, and actually you could feel the stiffness difference between the three. So this one's really soft, this one's medium soft, and this one actually is pretty firm. So what you have to do is decide, what is it that you're trying to do? Do you have just simple buffing that you want to do, or do you have actual scratches and things that you need to get off? If you have some larger scratches, we're probably going to start with the orange pad. So this is going to give you a little bit more bite when you first start sanding. So next thing what you're going to do, you're going to kind of move down to the softer pad to really finish off. This is great for polishing. This is great for buffing off scratches and things. So the next one we'll talk about is the compound itself for the buffing process. This is two different types of compounds. So we have a 36 and a 38. And what one's a little bit more aggressive than the other. So we kind of start with an aggressive and then we move to a not so aggressive. So it'll actually get rid of the big scratches with the more aggressive, and then it'll smooth it out and really finish it off with the less aggressive. Now, you don't have to do a two-step process. If you didn't want to have to buff it and then polish it, you can actually do an all-in-one process. And this is called VSS. And this is actually a scratch and swirl remover, but it also buffs it out and polishes it all at the same time. So as you're working, it does everything at once. So this is something that a lot of people end up using. It's just a little bit quicker. It's a one-time process as opposed to these are more of a 2 to 3 step process. The next thing we have is, again, microfiber towels. Might as well take some stock in microfiber towels. So we're going to be using these to get rid of the wax residue when we're all done with the polishing and buffing process. The last thing that I have that you don't really need, but I like to have, this is a really bright flashlight. Allows me to kind of look on the paint and really see where all my scratches are and what needs to be corrected and fixed and things like that. So it really allows me to see where those scratches are and where those marks are in the paint. So now that we've gone over some of the tools, let's get into the actual buffing process. We're going to start with buffing this and then we'll move into a polishing. Okay, so after going over the tools, let's actually get into the buffing process. What we want to do with this paint correction, there are a lot of marks all over this hood that I want to try to get rid of. Some of these I may not be able to get out, but I guarantee I can make it a lot cleaner looking than what it looks right now. I can bring back the depth of the paint and really kind of clarify the paint. So no matter how well we take care of our cars, you're still going to get contaminants in the paint. You're going to get marks on the paint, you're going to get scratches on the paint. There's just nothing that we can do to stop that. So what we do is we're going to buff out a lot of the marks. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to use the V36 grade, this is optical grade cutting polish. And what this is going to be kind of that first round of buffing. So I want to kind of try to get rid of the larger scrapes and scratches and things like that with this compound. So I have the orange pad on here, which this is the heavier cutting pad. So I'm kind of starting out pretty aggressive in this one. So I will, obviously I'll move to a softer aggressive in a moment. So we're going to take this, turn this upside down. I'm going to place about 4 to 5 drops on the pad. Doesn't need to be huge. Put that back there. So that's all we have. We're not using a ton of compound or anything. We're just using enough to kind of work this surface. We don't want to work the entire hood. Now, if you notice, I did tape off this hood, and I did that just so we can kind of compare the buff side versus the unbuffed side. So let's get into the actual buffing part. So first we're going to take this, we're going to just kind of blot this around, kind of move it around the hood. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to place my pad down. So with this random orbital buffer, I don't have to use a lot of pressure to actually start buffing this surface. I'm going to let the actual machine do the work. I'm just going to guide it to where I want it to go and move it around. Now, what I want to do with my first swipe, I want to just mix the compound in. I don't want to start buffing just yet, so I'm going to start at a low number. So I'm able to dial this in, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. I'm going to start about 1.5 just to get it spread out. All right, so I have it spread on the surface. If you notice, I'm working in kind of a back and forth motion, so crisscross motion. Again, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on here. I'm letting the machine kind of do its thing, and I'm just trying to spread this out. So I want to kind of keep this as flat as possible. I don't want to be buffing in any angle. I want this to be flat on the surface. So I'm going to turn this up, turn it up to 6. done my first few passes, and I'm going to start looking at how is it looking underneath the compound. So I'm going to take one of my microfiber towels, and I'm going to start rubbing that off. I waited until I saw this starting to kind of thin out and to haze over a little bit before I stopped. And if you notice, I was moving continually in a back and forth motion, so not to cause too much heat in one area in particular. What's nice with this polish or this cutting compound is that it does stay workable for a long time. So it doesn't dry up really, really quick, and we want to make sure we're not letting it dry on the surface. So okay, so after some polishing here, we're going to take my microfiber, wipe this down again, get rid of all that residue off, flip over. Already I can see such a sharper shine. This is looking absolutely gorgeous now. Yes, there are still marks in the paint. There's still some scratches that I haven't been able to get out, but already I'm seeing such a deeper black than what it started off with. Plus, this is really smooth to the touch. So this is looking great. So I'm going to take my other microfiber towel just to finish that off. Already we're seeing such a nicer looking paint. So let's kind of compare the two. We'll take a comparison of them. So using my flashlight, I'm looking at the paint on the newly buffed side. And again, this was using the buffing compound to get all the little marks kind of out of here. So yes, in the video, it looks like there's still a lot of marks. But let's go over to the original side, to the untouched side. Look at all the marks on that side compared to this side. You could see the reflection of my camera, my flashlight, so much clearer. So just a lot nicer, a lot smoother. And the color itself actually has a much nicer depth to it. All right, so we've just completed the buffing portion. So really trying to get a lot of those marks out of there, the scratches out of there, to really kind of clean up the paint. And you know, already my pad has a whole lot of residue on it, just from the other stuff that came out of the paint. Even after doing the clay bar to get rid of all those little particulates, there's still a lot of dirt in your clear coat. So we're able to kind of clean a lot of that off. This is looking so much smoother. I can see my reflection amazingly. So this is looking really, really good. So after you buff it, we want to move on to the polishing phase. And that's going to be, we're going to talk about the polishing phase in the next video. So, you know, as always with Wissen, we teach you how to shine with pride.